Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really fascinating, China's digital yuan, the ECNY.
Right, the digital version of their currency, the renminbi.
Exactly. And China's central bank head, Pan Gongsheng, he's got these, well, ambitious plans talking about an international hub in Shanghai.
And using it for instant cross-border payments, really aiming to, maybe challenge the US dollar's dominance eventually.
But that's what we want to dig into today, right?
Yeah. Our mission, so to speak, is to explore why this high-tech push still bumps up against what some are calling the same old issues.
The issues that have kind of kept the physical renminbi from really taking over globally.
Precisely. We need to look at what actually underpins the dollar's strength and, well, where the ECNY just isn't measuring up yet.
Okay, so let's talk hurdles. What are these deep-seated problems that fancy tech can't just leap over?
Well, first you've got the really strict capital controls. It's hard to move money in and out freely.
Right, the government keeps a tight rein on that.
And then there are, shall we say, less developed financial markets compared to, say, the US, plus a relative lack of really appealing assets for foreigners to buy with yuan.
So it sounds like the infrastructure, the digital part, is maybe ready, but the underlying economic plumbing isn't quite there for global use.
That's a good way to put it, and it really highlights the contrast with the US dollar.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Why is the dollar still king? It's not just habit, is it?
Oh, definitely not just habit. It's the main currency for trade. It's the reserve currency everyone holds.
Okay.
But here's the interesting bit a lot of people miss. The U.S. actually feeds this dominance through its large deficits. Trade deficits, budget
And
deficits.
deficits are good for the dollar's global role. That sounds backwards.
It does, but think about it. The world needs dollars to trade, to invest. U.S. deficits pump those dollars out into the global system. It ensures there's a huge liquid supply.
Huh. So the U.S. is essentially supplying the world with the currency it needs to function globally.
Pretty much. Plus, you have open markets, tons of dollar-based assets to buy U.S. Treasury bonds being the big one, and, crucially, strong, transparent legal systems. People trust the rule.
Okay, that supply point is key. So let's flip back to China. You mentioned this sort of imbalance.
Right, the supply imbalance. China has, incredibly high debt, over 300% of GDP recently.
Wow.
But at the same time, a massive trade surplus expected near $1 trillion in 2024.
So they sell way, way more stuff to the world than they buy back.
Exactly. So the question becomes, if China isn't buying much from the rest of the world, how does the world get its hands on enough yuan or ECNY to actually use it widely for payments or investment?
It's like they're exporting goods, but not really importing demand for their own currency in the same way.
Precisely. It stems from their growth model, which has long prioritized business and exports over, say, household spending and imports.
Yeah.
So not enough ECNY flows out consistently.
Okay, so even if you wanted to use ECNY globally, getting enough might be tricky. But then, what can you even do with it?
And that's hurdle number 2, limited investment options. The ECNY is just the RMB in digital form.
So it's tied to all the same restrictions.
Absolutely. Foreigners face real limits on buying Chinese stocks or per property. Those capital controls make it tough to convert ECNY back into dollars or euros easily if you wanted to.
You had a great analogy for this earlier.
Yeah, it's like having tokens for an amusement park, but most of the best rides are closed off to outsiders.
Huh. That paints a picture.
Yeah.
So countries might earn ECNY through trade.
Right. Take Saudi Arabia selling oil to China. They get paid in ECNY, maybe. But what do they do with it? Often they'll just convert it back to dollars because there aren't enough attractive, accessible things to invest that ECNY in within China. The dollar is just more useful globally.
Okay, so capital controls, lack of investment options, and then there's the softer stuff.
The trust factor. It's
Yeah.
huge. The U.S. system, for all its flaws, has relatively clear laws, independent courts, regulatory transparency. Investors, rightly or wrongly, see predictability.
And in China.
The perception, at least among many international investors, is that the rules can be less clear, maybe change quickly, and the legal system isn't seen as fully independent when it comes to major financial disputes.
So even if the ECNY tech is seamless, that underlying lack of, let's say, institutional trust holds it back on the world stage.
It really does. It deters the kind of deep, widespread adoption you need for a currency to become truly global.
So wrapping this up, what's the bottom line here?
Bottom line seems pretty clear. Advanced technology is great, but it can't by itself overcome these fundamental issues.
Issues like closed markets, capital controls, and maybe a lack of deep institutional trust.
Exactly. Without real shifts in those areas, more openness, easier capital flow, stronger, more transparent institutions, the ECNY is likely to remain, well, a technologically advanced domestic currency, not a true challenger to the dollar globally.
That makes sense. So the future of money isn't just about digital code, it's deeply tied to economics, policy, and ultimately trust.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a final thought for you, our listener. If a currency's real power comes from things like economic openness, clear laws, and strong institutions, what kind of fundamental changes would any nation need to make beyond just technology to seriously challenge the established global financial order? Something to think about.